It started with the sound of wood splitting. The wardrobe door had swollen from years of damp, and when I forced it open, the crack echoed through the house like something ancient breaking. Her scent was still there, faint lavender and salt. My mother's perfume. She had been gone 3 days, buried under the same gray sky that used to watch her stand by the window, silent, unreachable. Inside, under folded sheets and a worn sweater, I found it, a yellowed envelope sealed with brittle tape. No name, no handwriting, just weight. I tore it open. A key slid into my palm. Small, rusted, teeth eaten by time. It left a thin red mark across my skin. I stared at it and, for the first time since her funeral, I felt something other than grief. Curiosity. Or maybe fear disguised as purpose. I didn't tell anyone. Not my aunt, not the lawyer who asked if I'd found any additional documents. I just pocketed the key and left. 2 days later, I traced the return address printed faintly on one of her old letters, a postmark from a seaside town 2 hours away. The ink had bled with age, but the name was still legible. Gray Harbor. The road curved like a spine, leading me to a coastline stripped bare by wind. The air smelled of rust and salt. And then, there it was. The house. Half buried in fog, paint peeling, windows blind with dust. I should have turned back. But grief makes you reckless in quiet ways. The lock accepted the key with a sigh, as if it had been waiting. Inside, everything was preserved in stillness. Photographs lined the mantel, faces I didn't know, a man with sharp eyes, a woman smiling too wide, and between them, a little girl. She looked like me. I froze. Same eyes, same uneven smile, but the photo was decades old. I moved through the room slowly, each step soft enough to feel intrusive. Dust floated like breathless ghosts in the light slicing through boarded windows. Then I saw it. A diary, left open on a small desk near the window. The handwriting was hers, my mother's. The first line was dated years before I was born. I came here to start over. No one must ever find out about her. My throat tightened. Her. The next pages were smudged, torn in places, sentences crossing each other out as if she'd fought herself on paper. There were mentions of a name, Clara, and of a man she called him. I read until the words blurred, until I felt my heartbeat sinking with every written tremor. Then the floorboard creaked. My phone vibrated in my pocket, a sudden, sharp reminder that the world still existed outside this house. It was my aunt. "Where are you?" she asked. I almost said home, but the word felt wrong in my mouth. I looked around the silent room and whispered instead, "Finishing what she started." That night, I didn't sleep. I stayed in a nearby inn that smelled of mildew and old tobacco, the diary clutched to my chest like a confession I hadn't earned. I reread everything under the flickering light, the story of a woman torn between duty and desire, between truth and the lie she raised me inside. There were dates, hospital entries, adoption forms, and at the end of one page, if she ever finds this place, she'll know who she really belongs to. The words didn't hurt right away. They just echoed. By dawn, I was cold and steady. I opened my laptop and began searching public records, property archives, birth certificates, medical files. The name Clara appeared again and again. Birth year, the same as mine. Place of birth, different hospital. Mother's name, Evelyn Mayer, my mother's maiden name. But father's name? Blank. I printed everything, laid it out on the bed, and stared at it until the sun rose like an interrogation lamp. Something inside me shifted, not breaking, but rearranging. If my mother had built her life on lies, I wanted to know why. So I went back to the house. The fog was thicker, the tide lower, the air pressed against me, heavy with the scent of something waiting to be unearthed. This time, I searched deeper, behind furniture, under drawers, inside the walls where paper might survive. In the attic, I found a box sealed with wax. Inside, photographs again. This time, newer. My mother, the man from the older photos, and a toddler between them. Clara. He was holding her, not like a stranger, like a father. My stomach turned cold. Beneath the photos was a hospital bracelet. The tag read, Clara Mayer, female, born 19th March. My own birth certificate said the same. I stared until the letters blurred. Then I saw it, faint at the corner of one photo, a calendar on the wall behind them. The year was 2 years before my supposed birth. I sat on the floorboard until the light shifted and my shadow lengthened. There was no denying it now. I wasn't who I thought I was. The house had waited to tell me what my mother never could.
I didn't scream. I didn't collapse. I just held the photos and the bracelet and let the realization settle like frost on my skin. 2 lives had existed in parallel. Mine, the one I was told was real, and hers, the life my mother had hidden. Clara, my reflection in another life. I went back to the inn. I didn't call anyone, not my aunt, not a lawyer. I called a lab instead. DNA. Simple, clinical, cold. While I waited, I reread the diary. Every crossed-out line, every half-erased sentence now had weight. She had loved, she had feared, she had betrayed, but not me. She had built a wall of lies, and I was the first to find the door she left ajar. The results came back late afternoon. The technician's voice on the phone was careful, polite. I hung up before hearing more. I didn't need to. I already knew. I returned to the house. The attic smelled of dust and secrets. The photos were gone. I had carried them with me. I waited. When she arrived, my mother, I didn't flinch. Her eyes widened. For the first time in decades, she looked afraid. I placed the photos and DNA report on the small table between us. No words, just stillness. She swallowed. You found it. I nodded once, slow, calculated. Yes, I know everything. Her hands shook. Why? How? I didn't answer. I let her panic fill the room. The betrayal she had buried for years was now a living, breathing presence, and it had a face. Mine. I could have screamed. I could have shouted. I could have begged for explanations. But revenge isn't loud. Revenge is patient. Revenge is the quiet alignment of truth and inevitability. She tried to speak again, but I cut her off. Clara exists. You never told me. You replaced her with me. Her tears fell, but they didn't touch me. Not anymore. I left the house the way I came in. Key in pocket, head held high. The fog had lifted slightly. The tide had pulled back. The path to the car felt long and deliberate, every step measured, every breath controlled. I didn't look back, not once. By the time I reached the road, I understood the final truth. Her life had been a labyrinth of fear and secrecy. Mine was no longer bound to it. I drove away, the wind tearing at the edges of my hair. The house shrank behind me, a silent monument to deception. I didn't cry, I didn't hope, I didn't forgive. I only knew this. I had walked into her world, unearthed the lies, and emerged untouched by them. The key, the photos, the diary, they were mine now. proof of a past that could never claim me. And as the horizon bled orange over the sea, I felt it, the cold satisfaction of control regained. The truth had been revealed. The betrayer had faltered, and I had not. I would never be the same again, nor would I be weak again. I disappeared into the distance, leaving the house and the ghosts behind me, forever. And in that silence, I finally understood. Power is not loud. It is the calm certainty of knowing.